Shalawam, Yashala, peace be unto the nation of Israel, whom are mighty day so-called negroes, Latinos, Native American Indians, and speckled bird Israelites, whom were the Israelite foreigners, scattered across the four corners of the earth, including within America, Babylon the Great, anywhere the Most High Yahweh's chosen people of the nation of Israel. So without further ado, as always, just going to give all praises, glory, infinite honor to my power, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, whom is the God of the living, the true shepherds of Israel, pushing the sound doctrine of faith, truth, and sincerity. And shalom, honors, and salutations to by YAHAWAH, the 144,000 elect governing body, the house of David, along with the rest of the one-third elect men, women, and children of Israel. All right, it's your fellow servant Malak Rayab. It's back at it again with another lesson through the spirit of edification, exhortation, honor, and ratazah, which is the Lord willing, in this lesson, along with within the spirit of prophecy, being a testimony of our Lord and Savior Hamashiach Yahawashi, whom the Master of the world eagerly refers to, Jesus Christ. And I was dealing with the topic of this lesson entitled "The Decline and Fall of the American Empire," influenced by this first article I'm gonna bring out. Going to some information of what was to of what was to further befall America. All right, of some events that were foretold years ago through the spirit of prophecy, because like it says in Acts the 2nd chapter, all right, the Lord will pour His Spirit upon all flesh. Okay, so these so-called truthers out here, and these anti-government personalities and whatnot, including those within these internet platforms and so forth, that are call themselves further exposing the wickedness of Esau, Edom. It's really the spirit of empower YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. All right, it's further tearing down these strongholds and stumbling blocks. All right, to further expose and completely expose the wickedness of America, the bloody city. Okay, and how the overall morale of this place is completely finished, man. Okay, and then like it says in Isaiah the 14th chapter, has he become as weak as me? Has he become as weak as we? And that's a sentiment of these other nations. All right, especially across the pond. Okay, is a furtherance of Jim Crow Joe Biden making a fool out of himself. You know what I'm saying? Catching the Icky Vicky recently. Okay, despite all that hoot and hollering he was talking about the dragon juice. Now look at him, man. Now look at his ass. See? And that's just a further omen is what's to come to America, and that's ultimate shame before this place is destroyed. So I'm going to start off with this first article. And then Modern Raptors ought to be further edifying his order to you. Akim Akwa tuning in, Walk the Water for tuning in. So this is on the first article on thenation.com. It's entitled The Decline and Fall of the American Empire. It says domestic and global trends suggest that in 2025, just 15 years from now, the American century could all be over except for the shouting. Now this is reported over a decade ago. You see, that's why I made the opening statement. Because these people were led, by the Spirit of the Lord, pursuing Acts the 2nd chapter. Not that these people are prophets, you know what I'm saying, but man's goings of the Lord. All right. So it says this piece originally appeared at Time Dispatch. It says a soft landing for America 40 years from now. Don't bet on it. The demise of the United States as a global superpower could come far more quickly than anyone imagines. If Washington is dreaming of 2040 or 2050 as the end of the American century, a more realistic assessment of a domestic and global trend suggests that in 2025, just 15 years from now, it could all be over except for the shouting. All right. It says, despite the aura of omnipotence, despite the aura of omnipotence, most empires project a look at their history should remind us that they are fragile organisms. So delicate is their ecology of power that when things start to go truly bad, empires regularly unravel with unholy speed. Just a year for Portugal, 2 years for the Soviet Union, 8 years for France, 11 years for the Ottomans, 17 years for Great Britain, and in all likelihood, 22 years for the United States, counting from the crucial year 2003. All right, when that, so it says future historians are likely to identify the Bush administration's rash invasion of Iraq in that year as the start of America's downfall. However, instead of the bloodshed that marked the end of so many past empires, with cities burning and civilians slaughtered, this 21st century imperial collapse could come relatively quietly through the invisible tendrils of economic collapse or cyber warfare. All right, and that's why the World Economic Forum has been, quote unquote, anticipating blackouts, because this is part of the engineered demolition of this American system, this American Western hegemony, on behalf of this Edomite hegemony, using this place as a crutch or a Trojan horse of wickedness. all right, through her democracy, her bureaucracy, her diplomacy, all right. Ultimately that wine of fornication, all right, that modern day Western philosophy, okay, that modern day wine of fornication being that Western philosophy and foreign policy of the West, all right, and that's what's further bringing shame upon this place because the vibration on behalf of the wine of fornication of Babylon the Great, all right, is further exposing the wicked, vile corruption of Esau Edom's rulership, okay, his untrustworthiness, all right, his deceit, his corruption, okay, his backstabbingness, all right, of his deceit, okay, and his greed and covetous, lascivious heart, what I'm saying, is what's causing these other nations to band together like Russia, Iran, and Turkey within that trilateral meeting they just held in Iran, all right, to further discuss how they're going to further bolster their economies within their sovereign vision, all right, to cut out the West so they could bypass these sanctions and tariffs and whatnot, you know what I'm saying, so they could further flourish, all right, you know what I'm saying, with the idea of the West being an afterthought, and that's why Jim Crow Joe Biden just got embarrassed by Saudi Arabia's Mohammed bin Salman, regarding his request / demand of increased oil exports, and essentially that Ishmaelite Mohammed bin Salman told him to go F himself, all right, so he's just been making a complete fool out of himself, man. Because that's if he's being further used, all right, as a an ensign as what's to happen to America. That's ultimate shame, all right. So like it says in 2 Esdras 15:50, the glory of thy power shall pass away like a flower, all right, because America, Babylon the Great, is going to be destroyed with thermonuclear fire and radiation by her enemies, all right, including those who she was once confederate with, like it says in Obadiah the 7th verse, all right. So it says, so speaking of the economic collapse and cyber warfare mentioned, what I'm saying, as I was going into, how they're planning this or anticipating, so-called anticipating these blackouts, which we've been having, what I'm saying, all over the place. Recently, there was some blackouts down there in Queens and the Bronx, all right. So we're not ignorant of these devil devices, man. They're manipulating the weather with their devices, what I'm saying, including their HARP antenna program down in Alaska, what I'm saying, further affecting global warming, what I'm saying, and resulting in these random weather patterns and whatnot, what I'm saying, which are part of the Hegelian dialectic to justify their agenda, and that's why they're pushing a green energy situation. That's why Jim Crow Joe just came out with the whole climate change announcement, you see. So ultimately, they could justify, coercing and conditioning people to stop driving. All right, so they could further they could further speed up the rapid downfall of this American system, including the economy, because there's no one driving, including these truck drivers. What I'm saying, these diesel truck drivers. There's no way that this economy could survive, and it's already standing on its last legs, being over $30 trillion in debt. So it's all part of this engineered demolition. This is not a broken system. It's an engineered demolition. All right, just like Rome fell. All right, prophesied in Malachi 1:4. Her little horn, pursuing at Daniel chapter 2 verse 40. America, Babylon the Great, is going to fall in likewise fashion, man. All right. So it says, but I have no doubt when Washington's global dominion finally ends, there will be painful daily reminders of what such a loss of power means for Americans in every walk of life. All right, jumping down here. It says available economic, educational, military data indicate that when it comes to U.S. global power, negative trends will aggregate rapidly by 2020 and are likely to reach a critical mass no later than 2030. All right, you see that? You see? So jumping down here. All right, it says significantly in 2008, the U.S. National Intelligence Council admitted for the first time that America's global power was indeed on a declining trajectory. In one of its periodic futuristic reports, Global Trends 2025, the council cited the transfer of global wealth and economic power now underway roughly from west to east. See, that's exactly what's happening, this paradigm shift from the west to the east. All right, in regards to Russia and their allies, gaining international leverage over the West. So it says, and without precedent in modern history as a primary factor in the decline of the United States' relative strength, even in the military realm. Okay? Now, this is key because what was recently reported, okay? It's on westernjournal.com. It says military recruitment hasn't been this bad since end of Vietnam War. Biden's dangerous leadership. See, it says President Jim Crow Joe has destroyed many businesses with his economic failures and radical policies. Now he may be contributing to a major decline in recruitment for the United States Armed Forces. On June 27th, NBC News reported all 5 branches of the military were struggling to meet their recruitment goals for the 2022 fiscal year. This is a start of a long drought for military recruiting, Lieutenant General Thomas Spohr said. He said recruitment was as low as he had seen it since 1973, the year the draft ended. While he does not foresee a draft in the immediate future, he said 2022 is a year we question the sustainability of the all-volunteer force. All right? So I'm going to grab this quick precept. All right, this first precept on behalf of Salaki in the book of Revelation, 18th chapter. All right, start from the top. All right, and it reads, "And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory," which is YAHAWASHI. Pursuing Daniel chapter 10, verses 5 to 6, and other precepts. He's speaking about his heavenly wisdom. It says, "He cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird." All right, you know, and then the word devil in the Latin diablos means accuser, all right, or implicator, slanderer. You see, on behalf of the corrupt and vile serpent of the world, Esau, Edom, pursuing Revelation, the 12th chapter. Okay, you know, Isaiah 27:1 and so forth, is that conniving, subtle serpent with those characteristics as such. All right, describing those characteristics likened to a serpent. And that's Esau, Edom. All right, you know, even to where his own European constituents and comrades are looking at him funny, like Francis Emmanuel Macron was looking to was actually conspiring to deter away from the military aid of the West after the West and Australia and Britain went behind the back of France to sign that thermal, I believe it was a thermonuclear submarine deal with what they call the AUKUS alliance between the West, Australia, and the UK, and that pissed off France. You know, so this is of the wine of fornication that's further plummeting the overall morale and dominion of America, Babylon the Great. All right, just like Rome fell, modern day Rome, America, Babylon the Great is falling, man. All right. This place is becoming a gazing stock. Verse 3, "For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. The kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies." All right. You know, and those nations have been drunk off the wine of fornication. They're gonna sober off of that wine, pursuant Jeremiah 51:7 on down. They're gonna shoot nukes on this place by taking out their disdain and great displeasure. All right, over the further effects of this wine of fornication negatively affecting their sovereignty. All right, like China, Russia, Iran, Turkey, North Korea, and so forth. All right, and they're gonna shoot their nukes over here, man. This is all prophesied. So I'm going to get this next precept. Slakia. This is Nahum chapter 3 from the top, and it says, "Woe to the bloody city! It is all full of lies and robbery. The prey departed not." Who's the prey of modern day Syria, the bloody city, America, Babylon the Great? All right. The captives of Jerusalem, who the devil, all right, whose wicked hands the earth was given into, all right, pursuing Job the 9th chapter, Esau, Edom, has refused to let these same captives go. Okay, pursuing Jeremiah 50:33. All right, within this modern day corporate slave system, man. Okay, all right, during the transition from hardcore chattel slavery during the Emancipation Proclamation under Abraham Lincoln, another slave owner Edomite president. Okay, the same spirit that Jim Crow Joe was in. Okay, all right, during that transition from chattel slavery, all right, in the mid 19th century. Okay, around the year 1865. All right, you know, somewhere around there. You know, the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, man. All right, and, going to that transition of systematic slavery. Okay, where they would condition our minds to believe that we were no longer in slavery just because it took the shackles off, man. All right, and to put those shackles on our minds, so to say. All right, to make us believe that we're free. All right, so we can seek the ruler's favor, man, and further seek his validation. All right, to further appease our flesh. All right, to get in where we fit in, and to be a part of that go along, get along game. All right. So now this is a part of Babylon the Great falling, man. All right, this whole patriotism spirit. You see, that these so-called anti erasers, these anti-life erasers, okay, which are mainly these feminists out there, all right, protesting over their lack of so-called right, to eliminate their children. Now they're not in that patriotism spirit. You see. Like it says in 2 Timothy, the 3rd chapter, all right? In these last days, these perilous times we're living in, men shall become lovers of their own selves, including these women, man. So these are further insights that we're living at the end, all because of the wine of fornication of Babylon the Great, all right? Further, further increasing iniquity across the world, all right? And that's why pursuing the wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter, and Job, the 20th chapter, around the 27th verse, prophesies how the world would fight against Babylon the Great, all right, by further exposing her wickedness, all right. So this is Nahum 3:2, the noise of a whip and the noise of the rattling of the wheels and of the prancing horses and of the jumping chariots, all right. Verse 3, drop down to verse 4, because of the multitude of the whoredoms of the well-favored harlots, the mistress of witchcrafts, that selleth nations to her whoredoms and families to her witchcrafts, all right. And that's exactly what they've been doing, all right. That's why they back in 2016 they had something called the after school Satan programs, man. Okay, then they're pushing another high form of witchcraft, through sex magic. All right, through these children's platforms like Disney, whatnot, man. You see, pharmakia being dished out, by the Biden administration, on behalf of these crack pipes. That's pharmakia, man. That's wickedness. So it's ironic that he caught the icky vicky. All right, because the wicked shall be taken in the devices that they have imagined. All right. Verse 5, behold, I'm against thee, said the Lord, Yahawah of hosts, and I will discover thy skirts upon thy face, and I will shew the nations thy nakedness, and the kingdoms thy shame. All right, and that nakedness is a shame of sin, or exposure of wickedness. Okay, all right, and in which pursuant to the prophecy in Deuteronomy 30:7, all right, these curses from our people, Yasha is being passed over to you devils and you other nations. Now you're experiencing what it's like to be considered a gazing stock and a reproach. Okay, a nigga, if you will. All right. Verse 6, and I will cast abominable filth upon thee, and make thee vile, and will set thee as a gazing stock. And that's exactly what's happened to America, Babylon the Great. All right. This place become a gazing stock, man. This is Isaiah 47:1. All right. It says, come down and sit in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Sit on the ground. There is no throne, O daughter of the Chaldeans. For thou shalt no more be called tender and delicate. Take the millstones and grind meal, uncover thy locks. Make bare the leg, uncover the thigh, pass over the rivers, all right? Make her exposed, the virgin daughter of Babylon, America, all right? Thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. So Yahawashi is going to come back and, by descending into this realm, all right, to further, to further remove you devils from authority, all right, to further add on to your shame, all right? Like it says in Ezekiel the 28th chapter, where it says, shall you be, matter of fact, let me get that real quick. Ezekiel chapter 28, jump down to the point, verse 9, without yet say before him that slayed thee, I am God, but thou shalt be a man and no God. In the hand of him that slayed thee, thou shalt die the deaths of the uncircumcised by the hand of strangers. For I have spoken it, said the Lord Yahawah. Why is that? All right, because of her wine that is inherited great riches before her unjustly, pursuing a Sirach 10:8. All right, which is also spoken about in verses 4, okay, all the way down to verse 7. All right. Regarding her, the great devilish and sensual wisdom of this world, okay, has increased traffic into her, okay, followers of her wicked perceived glory, okay, all right, which is further lifted her up within her riches, all right, and that's why that wealthy nation prophesied in Jeremiah 49:31 is going to dwell alone soon, all right, right? Because people are going to, these nations starting to further become privy onto the corruption and vile, wicked morale of America. All right. So back in Isaiah 47 and 3, thy nakedness shall be uncovered, yea, thy shame shall be seen. I will take vengeance, and I will not meet thee as a man. All right. So these devils are being uncovered. So I'm going to get this next precept, Proverbs 13 and 9, and it reads, the light of the righteous rejoices, but the lamp of the wicked shall be put out. All right. The lamp is, is further symbolic of a foundation. The foundation of America, Babylon the Great, is evil, iniquity, sin upon sin. All right, compound sin. And that's why it says in Psalm the 73rd chapter, they drink iniquity. It says they wear violence like a garment. All right, violence is our carnality, an unclean spirit that they cherishing. All right, that much more further through the military. So it's ironic, or further ironic, that they're the great height of their authority on behalf of the West is further diminishing through their military prowess being further compromised, including their inability to draft people, just like back in Vietnam, which I'm about to get into in a second. All right, before I do, let me get this quick precept, Revelation chapter 18, verse 23, and it reads, and the light of a candle shall shine no more at all in thee, and the voice of the bridegroom and of the bride shall be heard no more at all in thee. For thy merchants were the great men of the earth. For by thy sorceries were all nations deceived. Okay? Including these nations that were fighting alongside this devil in World War II. All right? During the battle between the Allied powers and Axis powers. Okay? Where Russia was once a comrade of the U.S. All right? Against Germany, Japan, and fascist Italy. Okay? Now, ironically, Italy is now an ally of the West, and Russia is no longer ally. Then why? Because they have sought to bite thee, like it says in Habakkuk the 2nd chapter. All right, because that's Esau, Edom, the serpent. All right, like it says in the Apocrypha. It says what that scripture was. It says, "Who shall pity thee, who is bitten by a charmer?" So none of these nations are innocent, man. Their armies. They're all going to be destroyed through their armies, man. Okay, gonna partake in this last world's war, harm God won, and the result of that war is going to result in the complete destruction and desolation of modern day Basra. All right, America. All right, Babylon the Great. All right, and emergence. All right, of this horror of Babylon the Great. All right, through international trade are going to further forsake her. All right, and they're already doing that. All right, through these these oil sales and whatnot, including Saudi Arabia, okay, which Ishmaelites are known as the merchants in the scriptures, okay. Now, including them, you have Saudi Arabia, okay, looking to dump or ditch the petrodollar in exchange for the China's petro yuan or yuan, all right, in exchange for their oil sales. See. Now you got Jim Crow Joe. There's a report that Jim Crow Joe is supposed to meet with Venezuela. I believe it was reported. So you see how that goes. But it's most likely not going to go anywhere because Venezuela is an ally of Iran. Okay, because those are two oil-rich countries. And next month, there's a military drill that Iran, Russia, and China are going to host on the doorstep of America because they already have geoeconomical and military ties with South America, certain areas in South America, including Venezuela. Okay, bring out some more information. All right, bring out some more information. All right, dealing with the downfall of this place. All right, and shalawam, YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. Let me see here. Let me see. Let me go ahead and bring out some more information here. There's a part con. It says now dealing with these devils' struggles to draft draft soldiers into their 5 branches or 6 branches of military. Now I'm jumping down here to this part. All right, and bring out some more information. It says in an opinion article for Fox News on Wednesday, Texas Public Policy Foundation Vice President Chuck DeVore said the numbers should not come as a surprise. DeVore said the Biden administration has given voice to the left's view that the American military is filled with right-wing extremists and white supremacists. He said the decreasing number of young Americans interested in joining the military is a result of this fact. Now, let's further expose this this hypocrisy and deception, as if as if the history of so-called racial prejudice never existed in America. Let's further expose that madness. Now, this is speaking of Vietnam, right? So we'll start here or continue here on heavy.com. It says Muhammad Ali in the Vietnam War, 5 facts you need to know. I'm just going to jump straight down to the point. Bring out the synopsis of this article here first. It says Muhammad Ali died on June 3rd at the age of 74. It says throughout history, the famed boxer has made headlines, including his stance on the Vietnam War, blah, blah, blah. Now, jumping here to the point, all right. It says on April 28, 1967, Ali refused to be inducted into the U.S. Army and was stripped off his hard-earned heavyweight title, risking nearly everything. He stood firm on his stance to stay out of the Vietnam War, Ali proclaimed. And they took his, they stripped him from his boxing license. Esau initially sentenced him to 5 years in prison, okay, and a large sum of money he had to pay, but he repealed it and won. But anyway, here's a quote I want to focus on, going into the further exposure of Babylon the Great, on how, what I'm saying, that's at its greatest precipice, man, because we're living in that time. So it says, my conscience won't let me go shoot my brother or some darker people or some hungry people in the mud for big, powerful America. See? And shoot them for what? They never called me ninja. They never lynched me. They didn't put no dogs on me. They didn't rob me of my nationality. RAPE, and kill my mother and father. Shoot them for what? How am I going to shoot them? Poor little black people, little babies and children, women. How can I shoot them poor people? Just take me to jail. Now, that's not the quote. This is the full quote. It says, now it says, why should they ask me to put on a uniform and go 10,000 miles from home and drop blank and bullets on brown people in Vietnam, while so-called Negro people in Louisville are treated like dogs and denied simple human rights? So this brother had a zeal, because he even said so-called Negroes. All right, he most likely knew the truth at the time also. All right, but anyway, I digress. It says, no, I'm not going 10,000 miles from home to help murder and burn another poor nation simply to continue the domination of white slave masters of the darker people the world over. It says this is a day when such evils must come to an end. I have been warned that to take such a stand would cost me millions of dollars. But I have said it once and I will say it again. The real enemy of my people is here. Esau, Edom, all right? I will not disgrace my religion, which religion goes back to Esau, Edom, pursuit of First Maccabees, the first chapter. All right, which means religio. But anyway, it says, my people or myself by becoming a tool to enslave those who are fighting for their own justice, freedom, and equality. If I thought the war was going to bring freedom and equality to 22 million of my people, they wouldn't have to draft me. I'd join tomorrow. I have nothing to lose by standing up for my beliefs, so I just go to jail. So what? We've been in jail for 400 years. All right? And it's around the time where Esau initially fined him $10,000 and sentenced him to 5 years in prison, but he repealed that, and won the repeal. All right? All right, so he was banned from boxing for 3 years for this. Now going back to what this devil had tried to imply, as if the history of slavery is just far fetched and it just never happened. All right, whatever he thinks he's trying to imply, Freddie goes into why they've tried to remove slavery from the textbooks. All right, and Freddie considers as indentured servants. Okay, West. All right, talking about slavery was a choice, because Esau Edom is trying to remove. He's trying to keep himself covered. All right, but it's over. Okay, all right. America, Babylon the Great is finished. All right, just like Rome fell, America, Babylon the Great is going to fall in likewise fashion, man. Now it's going to expose, all right, the wickedness, all right, the Esau, within atrocities, all right, racial prejudice in this case, all right, racial terrorism, if you will. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and start with this article here. All right, I'm going to bring out a quick synopsis on this information. Now, during the Revolutionary War, all right, around basically bribe, the captives of Jerusalem under the slavery of the Edomites of the West to fight for the British to gain freedom. So, and then as a result, the West, further took their military strategy, and tactical war against our people, the so-called slaves. And then that's only when they allowed us to fight in the military and by putting us on the front line. Okay, during the war of the West, of the independence from the West, or the independence call of the West from Britain. All right, because you had the British for the taxing these 13 colonies and whatnot, so they were at war. All right, and we were just a pawn in their scheme of the grand scheme of things, or other grand scheme of things, man. So we were never given independence, like it says in Baruch 3:8. We were brought here to America, Babylon the Great, to be subject to payments, man. Okay, to pay these double taxes, even though there ain't no petition to really pay them taxes to the so-called British, man. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Incarcerated off of tax invasion and shit, man. Okay, if we don't pay our bills, we can wind up on the streets. Okay, paying for natural commodities or whatnot, like water. That's supposed to be natural essence of the world. Use that as a guise of so America, Babylon the Great, all right, it's caused a lot of spiritual damage through spiritual fornication. That's why the Heavenly Father, all right, in the name of His only begotten Son, is for exposing this place, man. Okay, the overall wickedness of this place. Okay, especially wickedness that has been directed towards His children. Okay, all right, the same people that have established their rulership, man. All right. You know, what they did in so-called Black Wall Street. We weren't bothering these devils, man. See, but they fear us, man. Even though this is their system, and they fear and hate us. So any chance that it seemed that we would get, man. No, that's why the West during the Revolutionary War didn't want to let Jake fight in the war. Have a superior mindset. You know, through a God complex predicated off of Edomite supremacy. What would even matter if Jake fought in your war? Because you're full of shit. Okay, you know you're inferior. All right, that's why I do that social engineering experiment. All right, starting in 1781. Then that's when they start calling themselves white. In the year 1681, rather, Slovakia. They start calling themselves white in Jamestown, Virginia. All right, to surmise, you know what I'm saying, that they were pure and holy. You know, blameless. Going into Isaiah the 47th chapter. You should no longer be called tender and delicate, man. You are being exposed. Okay? At the wazoo. All right? Now, it's on a similar article here. It's on history.com. It says, some 1.2 million black men served in the U.S. military during the war, but they were often treated as second-class citizens. I thought there was liberty and justice for all in America, right? It's all bullshit, man. Like it says in 2 Peter 2:19, for they promised themselves liberty, but it's like if they promised them liberty, matter of fact, let me go ahead and get it real quick. Avoid butcher. Second. So like it says, for they that promise corruption, that's how it goes. All right. You know, like it says in lines up with Isaiah 32. All right. You know, they shouldn't, matter of fact, let me get that real quick before I continue on. There's Isaiah chapter 32, verse 5. And it reads, the vile person shall no more be called liberal, nor the churl said to be bountiful. All right. And liberal just, essentially just means like noble, going into that Hebrew word nadayab, which means noble or generous. And Esau, Edom's far from it, man. Like it says in Ecclesiastes 7:7, where he's looked to further destroy our hearts or our minds, okay, through these gifts, these musical and Hollywood contracts of millions of dollars worth, where Jake is compelled to do something strange for a piece of change, okay, and so forth. All right, just to further seek the ruler's favor, so he could fit in with him, man. All right, part of that go along, get along game, man. Okay, when these last days is being further exposed, this devil, all right, never cared about us, man. Okay, like it says in Isaiah 51 and 23, how we were just a stepping stone for this devil, man. We were the jacket that they walked on over the puddle of water on the ground after it rained. See, just like in that movie, I believe it was called what was it called, man? It was a Goodbye Uncle Tom, but it was an Edomite that was using a so-called little black boy, a Judite, as a footstool, literally, man, to ease his aching feet, man. Okay. Now within this paradigm shift, the tides are turning on you devils, man. All right. Within this internal judgment that you are in the midst of receiving, All right, within its transition to external judgment, when Yahawashi and angels descend into this realm to destroy your empire, man. All right. So back in Isaiah 32 and 5, it says, "The vile person shall be no more called liberal, nor the churl said to be bountiful." Okay, churl means scoundrel. Okay, like it says in Psalm the 91st chapter, around the third verse. All right, how this devil is a fowler. Okay, he's a menace to society. And you know what I'm saying? He's a menace to himself. Like it says in Sirach 14 and 5. For roughly paraphrasing that scripture where it says, if he's evil to himself, how can he be good to anybody else, man? This devil needs to be removed from power, man. Like it says in St. Matthew the 24th chapter, if YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI wasn't speeding up the times which he is right now, there'll be no flesh to be saved, man, because Esau, Edom is a mad scientist. And speaking of which, let me get this information out, man. Further exposing the wickedness of this place. All right. Now there's a report of so-called super soldiers down in Ukraine. Okay. All right. So this is on. So it says Russian lawmakers blame losses on experimental Ukrainian super soldiers. It says Russia on Monday outrageously claimed that its massive army has failed to deliver Ukraine to President Vladimir Putin because it is fighting against experimental super soldiers turned into cruel killing machines by U.S. studies. So 2 Russian lawmakers told reporters this week that the Kremlin is investigating the blood of Ukrainian prisoners of war and has found evidence of experimentation. Russian outlet Kommersant reported. Russian Senator Konstantin Kosachev told the outlet that the blood of Ukrainian prisoners contained traces of pathogens he claimed were atypical for Ukraine. All right, so it says Kosachev claimed that this was evidence of experiments being conducted on Ukrainian servicemen. Erlina Yarovaya, deputy chair of the State Duma, took the claims further and said the supposed experiments were focused on the creation of more vicious soldiers. We see that the cruelty and atrocities with which the military personnel of Ukraine behave, the crimes that they commit against the civilian population, those monstrous crimes that they commit against prisoners of war, confirm that all this is a single system of control and creation of the most cruel killing machines, she said. All right. So this is not far-fetched. Within Esau Edom's westernized propaganda media tools, they try to spin it like, like what Russia is just spewing is just complete rhetoric. Now, let's further confirm that it's not rhetoric, because this was reported several months ago, around the time where, around the beginning of Russia's invasion in Ukraine. All right. So this is This is reported back on March 24th of 2022. It says Russia claims U.S. tested experimental drugs on Ukrainian soldiers. All right. Jumping down, it says U.S. has been involved in testing experimental drugs on volunteers from the ranks of the Ukrainian military. The commander of Russia's Nuclear, Biological, and Chemical Protection Forces, Lieutenant General Igor Kirillov, alleged during a media briefing on Thursday. Jumping down, says according to data published in the Bulgarian media, about 20 Ukrainian soldiers, Kirillov added, while claiming that more than 400,000 people were involved in the testing in Ukraine. You see? So they weren't, so that wasn't just rhetoric, they were just spewing. Okay? This is what these devils are doing. That's why Hunter Biden got further exposed with his ties to the Ukrainian biolabs down there, man. So you devils are just being exposed on all fronts, man. Okay? So eventually you're just gonna have to put out the CHIP, man, the MOT to the B, the Charagma, man, because you're at your wits' end. You're finished. Okay? All right, pursuing the 2 Corinthians 10 and 4, through the weapons of our warfare, all right, through the sword of the spirit, okay, of your lack of purity, your strongholds and stumbling blocks being torn down. Okay. All right, so I'm going to get this article right here. It says 7 revealing ways America is collapsing as Rome did. Here are signs that are too disturbing to ignore. All right. Historians, philosophers, and many great thinkers across time have compared the United States to the ancient Roman Empire. And for good reason, since America has implemented many of Rome's customs and traditions. All right. Because pursuant to Daniel chapter 2, verse 40, and Revelation, the 13th chapter, starting with the 11th verse on down, all right, America is prophesied as the branch of the ancient pagan Western Roman Empire, man. Because that's that same empire all over again. So when Yahushua spoke about the stones, not one of these stones not being torn down, roughly paraphrasing St. Matthew 24:2, speaking about this Roman Empire, including these buildings of modern day Roman architecture, man, like the White House, you know what I'm saying, like like the so-called mono, what's that the Cleopatra's Needle down there in the UK, all right, the Washington Monument, which is a further phallus symbol of the fertility goddess that the Philistines and these devils were worshiping, ancient Babylon and ancient Egypt, further confirms that America is ancient Babylon and ancient Egypt, man, in a spiritual sense, because there's many spiritual aliases for America, man, meaning bitter, Babylon the Great, man, okay? And that's why the Heavenly Father hates this place, man, okay? Which is why he's going to overkill this place, man, okay? All right, through weapons of his indignation. So it says, jump down straight to the point. It says America-Rome correlations. All right. So I'm going to focus on the patriotism aspect and the military aspect. All right. Because that goes into why these devils are having are unable to draft people now. Because why? The desire of fighting for you is gone because people are starting to understand what they're fighting for. You know, like down there in Iraq. Okay. In different areas in the Middle East. You weren't fighting for no goddamn terrorism, man. All right. You know what I'm saying? You were fighting to protect the poppy fields down there of the heroin and shit, man. All right, and the oil down there. Okay, that's why another the acronym God, they use that as an acronym. All right, to further push out the intentions of their you know what I'm saying, of their rulership or vibration of their empire. All right, through gold, oil, and drugs. Okay, you see. So jumping down here. All right, says, all right, Shlakia says, jump up a little bit. All right. Sharp decline in patriotism. When you read about the earliest days of Rome, it is very much like reading about the colonial days of America. There is a clear cause and a level of patriotism is off the charts. Early Romans often used the phrase for the glory of Rome. These words alone inspired the masses, and all citizens were proud to be Roman citizens. Okay? It says, yet this Roman patriotism gradually eroded away as more and more issues lowered the overall satisfaction level of the populace. The mighty Roman Empire began to crumble. All of a sudden, individuality became more valuable than the common good. Aren't we seeing this in America right now? How many symbols of American heritage are being destroyed right before our eyes? How many American flags have been burned? This is perhaps the biggest sign of all that America is collapsing as the Romans did. See? People don't give a goddamn about no goddamn patriotism, man. Excuse my British. Okay? You know? And because you know, people starting to further understand, you know what I'm saying, in regards to the masses, that patriotism is really just a further branch of so-called white nationalism, man. You see? And that's why during the time of World War II and other accounts of secular history, when we were fighting in Esau, Edom's wars, they would segregate us, man. See? You know? And this is a part of them being exposed. Okay? Their fraudulent vision. Okay? All right, which was always deceiving. All right? Yeah, so this is I believe it was on this article here. All right, dealing with the history of World War II, how Jake was being segregated. So it says, let me see. It says, when the Selective Training and Service Act became the nation's first peacetime draft law in September 1940, civil rights leaders pressured President Franklin D. Roosevelt to allow black men the opportunity to register and serve in integrated regiments. It says, yeah, so that's, you know, I pretty much ready to promote, you know what I'm saying? The synopsis on the report's already out there, so I'm just going to get straight to the point. So it says, okay, here's a key word here, democracy, okay? It says, the compromise represented the paradoxical experience that befell the 1.2 million African-American men who served in World War II. They fought for democracy overseas while being treated like second-class citizens by their own country. And that lines up with Deuteronomy 28 and 37, how we would be considered a byword and a proverb, man. You know? Like it also said, I believe, in First or Second Kings, the ninth chapter, I believe it is. Okay? So now, pursuant to Deuteronomy 37, these curses are being transferred over to you devils and you other heathen nations, man. Okay? Like that says in Psalm the second chapter, why do the heathen rage and imagine a vain thing? You see? You devils think that they have a shot, you know what I'm saying, to rule this, you know what I'm saying, this NWO. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and bring that out real quick. Article. Let me see, bring this article out real quick. This is on Newsbreak. Okay, so what I just mentioned is basically what outlines what Putin just said. This is, it says, Putin warns West's current world order is over, a new era is coming. Vladimir Putin has warned that a new stage in world history is coming in a speech in which he condemned the model of total domination by the West. During the address on Wednesday in Moscow, the Russian leader took a swipe at the populations of Western countries, which he described as a golden billion, and asked why their leaders should impose their own rules of conduct based on the illusion of exclusivity, which he believed was inherently racist and neocolonial. That's why these other nations, these top sovereign nations like China and Russia, have been calling out the hypocrisy of the lack of humanitarian efforts on behalf of the West, and how they've been oppressing and afflicting the so-called natives from the Northern Kingdom and the so-called blacks from the Southern Kingdom, and haven't made amends for that. So Russia, the Russian government, as of recently, was like, hold on, man, how you gonna demand humanitarian efforts on your behalf as a so-called proclaimed and appointed global police when y'all motherfuckers have been doing the same thing to the natives and the blacks, and actually worse. You see, so go and take care of your in-house beef, go and take care of your in-house issues first before you involve yourself in our sovereign affairs, and that's just for exposing these devils. Okay, exposing every single one of them. Okay. All right, you Russian Edomites are being exposed. You German Edomites are being exposed. You Brits are being all you devils are being exposed, especially Edomites in the West. Okay. No one gets away. You're all being exposed, man. Okay, and like it says in St. Mark the 3rd chapter, like Yahushua said, if Satan fights against Satan, how can his kingdom stand? Roughly paraphrasing. Okay. So back in this article, it says, during the address on Wednesday in Moscow, the Russian leader took a swipe at the populations of Western countries, which he described as a golden billion, and asked why their leaders. Already read that. Salakia says, let me see here. Okay, one gets the impression that the West simply cannot offer the world its own model of the future, Putin said, as he described how the dominance of the West owed itself to the robbery of other peoples, both in Asia and in Africa. He singled out India in particular as being robbed in his criticism of colonial powers. With Russia facing sanctions from the West due to its invasion, trade ties between New Delhi and Moscow have strengthened since the start of the Ukraine war, and Russia has pivoted towards countries like China and Iran. He says, this week Putin had held meetings with Iranian and Turkish leaders in Tehran, in which he looked to forge a new alliance in response to tough measures imposed by the U.S. and its allies, predominantly in Europe. Putin said that the global elites were now terribly afraid that other parts of the world may present their own options for development. Okay, and that goes to Psalm the 2nd chapter. Why do the heathen imagine a vain thing? Okay, why do the heathen rage and imagine a vain thing? Okay, and a part of these, which includes some of these sovereign nations, believing they just might have a chance of being the replacement of the West and the satanic NWO. Okay, and they're out of their goddamn minds. Why? Because their minds were given over to their own delusions, pursuing the 2 Thessalonians, the 2nd chapter. All right, without the love of the truth, because the truth is only to set the minds free of the elect. Okay, and like Project Pat said, don't save her; she don't want to be saved. Okay, these heathen nations don't want to be saved, man. These Edomites damn sure don't want to be saved because they are not upright, like it says in Habakkuk 2 and 4. Okay, that's why in the Hebrews, the 12th chapter says Esau sought out. He sought out he sought it out carefully with tears. All right, his lack of salvation. Okay, so now he like I said in 2 Timothy 3:13. All right, the hearts of evil men are just waxing worse and worse. They know they have no salvation. Now they're just saying fuck it. You know, including Klaus Schwab and Noah Yavari, whatever that damn sodomite Amalekite's name is, man. See, and the likes of them, they don't give a damn no more. Now they're just coming out with it. Now, now the gloves are off. They're slow. Through gradualism, they're starting to come off. Now this devil is just starting to be exposed and further expose himself. Okay, so I want to bring that out real quick. All right, see what else I had here. Let's see. All right, so that's pretty much it on that. So I'm gonna go ahead and let me see. Yes, that's pretty much it. You know, on this article here, the point has been pretty much made. You read about, you can go into, read about, read this for yourself and just further go into the history of, segregation of these devils. Okay, like it says here, they made us carry their weapons. Okay, all kinds of heinous shit, man. They made us. They made us. They basically turned us into mammies for them, man. Some Aunt Jemima ass niggas. You know what I'm saying? Working as cooks and mechanics, building roads and ditches. See? All right, like it says here, the kind of treatment they received by white officers in army bases in the United States was horrendous. They described being in slave-like conditions and being treated like animals. They already treated Jake like this. Okay? Now niggas is talking about we shall overcome, man. Hey, like there's nothing new under the sun, man. This is not the 60s anymore. Okay? All right? So, yeah, it says they segregated us to blood banks, hospitals, wards, through the medical staff, military barracks, recreational facilities for so-called black soldiers. Say, hey, man, and nothing has changed. Okay? Hey, because down in Ukraine, what happened? It's going to bring that out. Because once again, none of you Edomites are escaping. You're all getting exposed. Okay? This is on HuffPost. It says Ukraine acknowledges racist treatment of Africans, which is Jake. We're not Africans. A lot of them so-called Africans they're talking about are Nigerians, which are Israelites. It says Ukraine acknowledges racist treatment of Africans fleeing Russian invasion. It says Ukraine's foreign minister said that African immigrants seeking to evacuate need to have equal opportunities to return to their home countries safely. Okay. It says days into the massive refugee crisis created by Russia's war on Ukraine, the Ukrainian government has publicly acknowledged that African immigrants seeking to flee the violence have faced racist, disparate treatment compared to white Ukrainians. On Tuesday, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba tweeted that Russia's invasion had affected Ukrainians and non-citizens in many devastating ways. Africans seeking evacuation are our friends and need to have equal opportunities to return to their home country safely. And see, this is all smoke and mirrors, man. Okay, this is a further fulfillment of Revelation. What's that? Revelation 13:8. How he speaks like a dragon. He speaks with a forked tongue. Psalm 55:21. They speak. Their words are smooth as butter, but they hide war in their tongues, man. You know good and goddamn well that we're not friends, man. Because actions speak louder than words. Okay, so hey, I digress though. It says adding that Ukrainian's government spares no effort to solve the problem. It says there have been numerous reports in recent days of African students and other immigrants facing racist treatment as they seek to flee cities under attack. This includes black people being kept from boarding buses and trains, even as white Ukrainians were able to, and being kept waiting hours in the cold at the border with Poland, man. See? But I don't hear the Western media talking about this shit, man. Okay? That's where we come in, the true newscasters, through the spirit and power of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. Okay? The prophets of Jerusalem. Okay? Exposing, being used by our maker, YAHAWAH BAHASHAM to expose you devils. Okay? So we're going to get that. Hosea chapter 12, verse 10. Hosea chapter 12, verse 10. I have also spoken by the prophets, and I have multiplied visions and used similitudes by the ministry of the prophets. All right. And this is the one I really wanted. Salaki. Hosea 6 and 5. Therefore have I hewed them by the prophets, I have slain them by the words of my mouth, and thy judgments are as a light that goeth forth. And that's the true light, the true divine wisdom, knowledge, understanding of the righteous counsel of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. All right, of the mysteries of heaven, only shared with his saints, pursuant to Amos 3 and 7. All right, and other precepts, man. All right, that's why in Wisdom of Solomon 1 and 4 it says, wisdom cannot dwell within a malicious soul, and that's why Esau, Edom's soul is unupright. All right, pursuing Habakkuk 2 and 4, man. That's why he's going all out with wickedness. Okay, you know, lasciviousness, covetousness, greed. Okay, deception, corruption. Okay, theft. Okay, witchcraft. Okay, literally what's going on down there with them biolabs in Ukraine and all that, man. It's all being exposed, man. Okay, and you were being exposed. Right? There's nowhere to run. Like the Fuji said in the 90s, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, you devils are finished, man. You know? There's that scripture. I'm thinking about a scripture right now, man. See if I can find it. It might be an apocrypha which says, who shall repay him to his face? Let me see if I can get that real quick. Find that. All right? Give me 1 second about Shah. In Salakia, if not hitting the common board right now, it's just in the spirit. I'm going to go ahead and get some precepts off the common board out on Rothschilds in a moment. Let me see here. Khan. Call on me, how about Shemai Shah? This is Job chapter 21. I'm going to start at verse 31. I'm going to start at verse 29. Have ye not asked them that go by the way, and do ye not know their tokens? That the wicked is reserved to the day of destruction? They shall be brought the simultaneous fusion of the concentrated heat from the chariots. All right, and along with the thermonuclear fire radiation of projected 1,000,000 degrees, all right, that will leave a besom of destruction here, all right, within that destroying wind, prophesied in Jeremiah, the 51st chapter, man, okay? And this is going to happen in our lifetime. This is Job 21:31. Here's the point. Symbolic of death and destruction, all right? So I'm going to grab this real quick. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, from the top, all right? So this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, from the top. It says, Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him, and made no account of his labors. These devils have not made an account of their, okay? All right, it's like it says in St. James, the 5th chapter. Okay? You have not made amends for all the atrocities you have committed towards the people, all right, for the establishment of your enterprise. Like it says in the book of Job. Job chapter 5, verse 12. All right, and it reads, He disappointed the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise. All right, another word for enterprise there. I believe that Hebrew word there for enterprise is counsel or lifting up. These devils have propelled themselves in their heart, all right, through great boasting and pride. Like it says in Isaiah the 14th chapter, devices, man. All right, your climate change bullshit, okay? You know, your green energy emissions aspect of your NWO agenda. All right, this is Isaiah chapter 14. Isaiah chapter 14, and I'm gonna start at verse. All right, and hell is definitely being moved for thee. All right, through these, much further through these thermonuclear missiles, and that's why through the spirit, you had Jim Crow Joe, I believe, have another council with the Israeli government. All right, over speculation that Iran is talking about. Gibbs said, speak and say to the Salakia, and they shall speak and say unto thee, art thou also become weak as we? Art thou become like unto us? Like it says in Joel the 3rd chapter, let the weak say that they are strong. Let the weak say I'm strong. That's what North Korea, is echoing with the their regime. All right. Iraq and so forth. Let me see. It says, thy pomp is brought down to the grave, and the noise. Okay. So verse 11, verse 12, Salakia. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? How did the Esau Edom through Babylon the Great, as of the golden city, by way of the king of Babylon, Esau Edom, been weakened through his wine? His own wine has weakened him. Okay. It says, for thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of the Most High God, Yahawah. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit. Okay? And that's a future for you devils. All right, this is Habakkuk chapter 2. All right, I want to start in verse 10, but I'm actually start up in verse 5. Kind of hard to, read this chapter without reading that. Habakkuk 2 and 5. Yea, also because he transgresses by wine, he is a proud man. Should not all these take up a parable against him and a taunting proverb against him and say, woe to him that increaseth that which is not his? How long? And to him that ladeth himself with thick clay? All right, and that have these nations meet, all right, in exchange for goods and services, and mainly through their petrodollar, for oil sales. These nations like China and Japan will take on. They'll purchase a debt just to further level the all right, so that way both parties are happy. All right, both parties are further happy. All right, with through international trade. But now, all right, China, all right, has further developed their Silk Belt Road Initiative, that 72 road infrastructural railway system. All right, to use different pathways of distributing their goods and services, man. That's why Iran road initiative, railway systems or railways through that economical corridor, okay, involving the areas of the Black Sea and so forth. And that's why during that trilateral meeting that those areas of grain and whatnot have been set on fire through this proxy war, all right, by that much more further by it offer people synthetic meat and whatnot. So this devil, it needs to be destroyed, man. All right, because he is a disease of the entire earth, like it says in Sirach the 10th chapter. So back in Habakkuk 2 and 7, shall they not rise up? Go back a little bit. Salakia. Shall they not rise up suddenly that shall bite thee, and awake that shall vex thee, and thou shalt be for booties unto them? You devils gonna be booties unto them. Okay, spoils of war, because thou hast spoiled many nations. All the remnant of the people shall spoil thee because of men's blood, and for the violence of the land, of the city, and of all that dwell therein. Woe to him that coveted an evil covetousness to his house, by cutting off many people, and has sinned. It's like, woe to him that coveted an evil covetousness to his house, that he may set his nest on high, that he may be delivered from the power of evil, and has been literally and figuratively done. All right, literally within the satellites in the stratosphere. All right, and figuratively, all right, through his pride, he has proclaimed himself to be God on earth. All right, predicated off of so-called white supremacy, nationalism. Okay, and here's a point in verse 10: Thou hast consulted shame to thy house by cutting off many people, and has sinned against thy soul. You see, so you've done too much with your wine, to the point to where even your own European allies and such are not even looking to really even do business with you like that. Now look at Turkey, for example. You just case in point, you just had the Israeli government convince the West the West and NATO not to provide Turkey with those F-16 weapon systems they have been calling for, leading them closer to the BRICS Union, which they've been looking to join for years now. Okay, so now here you are begging people to join your military. Okay, doing census and whatnot, looking pathetic out here, man. Okay, so this is Psalm. This is the book of Psalm, chapter 109 and 10, and it reads, "Let his children is going to is going to take his place, okay, as ruler of the earth. All right, that physician that will cure this global disease, which is Esau, Edom. All right, this is Psalm chapter 109, Verse 9, let his children be fatherless and his wife a widow, like it says in Isaiah the 47th chapter. It's going to come to you, devils, in a day. All right, because your destruction, all right, will be within a day. Okay, within 1 hour to be exact, in Revelation 18th chapter. And your arch nemesis, Russia, and your allies will further contribute to your thermonuclear destruction. This is Psalm chapter 109, verse 10. Let his children be continually vagabonds and beg. Let them seek their bread also out of their desolate places. See? That's exactly what the devils are doing. You know, begging people to join the military. Okay? You already got transformers and women up in there. Okay? And another problem is a lack of masculinity. So you got quite a quagmire in your hands. Quite a conundrum. Okay? Because you were because the glory of Babylon the Great is passing away like a flower. Pursuing the second Ezra 15 and 50. You see? You know, going into your vagabond nature, how you don't have a true place of your own, like it says in Micah the 2nd chapter. You're the true culture vulture. Okay, you devils, you know, essentially you barely even belong to Mount Seir. Okay, because our forefathers been known to chase you devils into these mountainous regions, man. That's why in the Renaissance period, when you came back into power, or actually before that, you know, during the height of the Byzantine Empire, when the Southern Kingdom was ruling Europe, all right, you devils got our forefathers chase you devils into the caves in Mount Petra, man. I mean, Slovakia, down there in the caves within the Caucasus Mountains in South Georgia, Russia, predominantly. During the invasion of the so-called the Etruscans and the Minoans. This prophecy is further fulfilled during this death of your country. You know, I would say, I would facetiously say, okay, yeah, I'll go back to I'll go back to my country as soon as you go back to your country and take your goddamn diseases with you, man. But you're not going to do that. So you must be destroyed by your maker, and that's going to happen very soon. All right, because you vagabonds, you Edomites, okay, have had your time and now it's over. Okay. So this is Jeremiah chapter 49. This is Jeremiah chapter 49 and 31. Do that like Francis Macron, Germany, okay, a Turkey, you see. So this is verse 12, and I will bring their calamity from all sides thereof, said the Lord, YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. Okay, and that's going to transpire by way of these thermonuclear missiles, these thermonuclear intercontinental ballistic missiles for fulfilling this prophecy, traveling from one continent to another, surrounding America, Babylon the Great, like it says in 2nd Ezra, the 16th chapter. Okay, and other precepts. Okay, so so going back to I was going to hit one more point on this article now that I mentioned that. It says Slovakia. Jump up a little bit. Big military budgets bankrupt big countries. Anxious, this is why to bomb the hell out of them Palestinians down there, which are the Ishmaelites. That's what I'm saying, and including the military budget that they're further funding Ukraine by way of our taxpaying dollars, man. So there's nothing new under the sun. This is why this prophecy is going to further come to pass. Malachi 1 and 4. All right, and it reads, whereas Edom said, we are impoverished, but we will return and build the desolate places. I'm sorry, verse 3. And I hated Esau and laid his mountain to build, but I would throw down. And they shall call them the board of wickedness, and the people against whom the Lord Yahweh had angered the nation forever. And that's righteous anger. Just like he had your ancient pagan Western Roman Empire overthrown by Jake, it's going to happen again by Jake. All right? By the hands of super Jake. So your super soldiers that you further developing down there through your biological witchcraft down there in Ukraine and whatnot, they ain't going to help you devils, man. You're doing nothing but experimenting on them devils, shy in a celestial angelic body. You have no shot because you know who we are. Okay, and really that's flattering that you're doing that, man. Okay, it's mainly going to be by way of these swords here. Okay, this is Habakkuk 3, verse 11. Start at verse. This is verse 11. The sun warheads, man. That's terrible. And on top of that, that wasn't bad enough. All right, the impact of these weapons are going to remove the tectonic plates from underneath the earth and cause a global earthquake, man. That's some scary shit. Like it says in Isaiah 24 chapter. Shaking the world, shaking earth like a drunkard. So this is so through the terror of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI, we persuade men. Okay? All right? All right? The men that would call in the name of YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI to be saved, like it says in Joel. All right? This is Joel 2 and 32. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call in the name of Yahweh, this is actually the one I wanted. Acts chapter 2, verse 22. Verse 21. And it shall come to pass that whosoever shall call in the name of the Lord YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI shall be saved. Ye wonders and signs which the Most High God Yahweh did by him in the midst of you, as ye yourselves also know. Okay, so the only nation that YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI dealing with the Israelites. All right, so which includes only manner of men from that nation. Okay, who will call on his name in these last days in order to be saved. All right, Psalm chapter 50, verse 5, verse 15. And call upon me in the day of trouble, I will deliver thee, and thou shalt glorify me, not Esau, Edom. All right, well, many shall seek the ruler's favor. Okay, you know, so I'm going to go ahead and close out. All right, say, man, this place is finished, man. This place is completely finished. All right, so we out of here. All right, this is a brother dyed garments from Basra, 2nd Ezra, chapter 16, verse 63. Men, and your own sins shall be your own accusers in that day. What will ye do, or how will ye hide your sin? It says they won't stand before what's that scripture? I'm trying to think of how it goes. And they won't stand before the judgment seat of the Lord, roughly paraphrasing. Let me see if I could get it real quick. I'm trying to think of where it's at. Yeah, anyway, let me see. Is it Psalms? Let me get this one here. Psalm chapter 9, verse 19. Arise, O Yahweh. Arise, O Lord Yahweh. Let not man prevail. Let the heathen be judged in thy sight. Put them in fear, O Yahweh, that the nations may know themselves to be but men. Salah. Okay? You know, so you devils are not gods, you're just men. Okay? Let me see. Let me see if I can find the scripture I'm thinking about. Call on YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. I'm ended off here. Psalm chapter 1, perish. So with that, I'm going to give all praises, glory, infinite honor to my power, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. YAHAWAH BAHASHAM YAHAWASHI. We bless me with the spirit to do this video, which I pray is further edifying and exhorting to the elect. And with that, abad the ball, DTA, Kwam Yashala, Shalawam to the elect, and on to the next.